Hey, my name is Ben Fraser. I'm the founder of Ready.Set.Van. We're an independent van conversion company based right here in Trent, New Jersey. And we build on the Ram ProMaster, Ford Transit, and the Mercedes Sprinter platforms. But today I have a Mercedes 170 Sprinter behind me. This has our Hudson build in it, which has turned out to be one of the most popular builds that we do right now. We've been building a bunch of them recently. One of the nice things is, of course, they're all built to spec for our customers, so they're all different. They're all very kind of customized for the customer. And yesterday I had a chance to take this off-site, do a little light off-roading. It was an absolute, it was an absolute blast. It was really, really fun. I didn't have time last night to clean it before the shoot this morning, but to be honest, I think these vans look better with a little bit of dirt on them. So I hope you enjoy this tour. I'm really excited to do it. Let's go. So before I can go into details on the exterior of this build, I think I should first tell you a little bit about our client's particular use case, because of course that use case has really informed every single decision that they've made, certainly on the exterior of the van, because functionality is a major importance for them. So these clients are real avid outdoors people. They do all kinds of, honestly, it seems like really fun activities. One of them in particular that they do quite a lot of is something called upland hunting, which is a version of bird hunting that happens mostly in fields and in the woods and things like that. So not like duck hunting by the water. This is land-based. It's, of course, like other types of bird hunting, it's supported by dogs. There's a lot of time spent in the mud. It's a dirty process as far as they've described it to me. And it requires them to often drive back down tiny little access roads or paths or trails. And, it's muddy. There's, you're going through thickets and all this kind of stuff. So that kind of gives a picture of what it is they're planning on using this for, one of the things that they're planning on using this for. So as a result, we started by just looking at bedlining the van. So that was an obvious choice for them because of all these sticks and thickets and everything. They're just, they just want to prevent getting any deep scratches in the outside of the van. I'm sure this van is going to be scratched to hell by the time they're done with it, but they're trying to protect the areas that would get the most of it. So we bedlined the grille all the way down the sides. Actually, when we initially did it, we didn't bedline the hood. We were sort of on the fence about it. After we installed these lights, which I'll talk about in a minute, they really, I don't know, something about it. We just looked at it and said, nah, it's not right. Just aesthetically, we just thought we should bedline the hood as well. We had been on the fence about it, and I love the look of this whole thing. In fact, I love the whole look of the front end of this van. Just aesthetically, I think it's really nice. They weren't a big fan of the kind of Baja style lights, like the LP9s, the big round LP9s in the front, and the big round Baja lights up top. And so as a result, we kind of put together a different lighting package that was maybe like a little more understated, I guess. And I think it's rigged up just really nice. These are Baja Squadrons that are an upgrade for the fog lights. If you're somebody that uses fog lights and really likes their fog lights, I feel like a lot of people have fog lights and they don't even know when they're on. But if you're somebody who really uses them a lot and really appreciates them, this is a really, really nice upgrade for sure. It just swaps in with the, in place of the factory fog lights and works great. In the grill here, we went with these triple Rs. These are really nice because they get tucked back in the grill. You almost don't even notice them. They do have a daylight running option, so we have these wired up right now. So when the van is on, they're just kind of glowing, which is kind of a sick look. But then obviously when you turn them on, they're really quite bright. Up here we have these pod lights that I mentioned before. These are really nice because they're a little bit off axis, just kind of pivoted out to give you a little more situational awareness, like on either side of the trail. That's going to just give them a wider field of view. I haven't actually taken them at night, like in a trail scenario, so I'm very curious to see how those are in person. And then of course up top we got a light bar up there too, so that's going to throw light way down the trail. That's going to be really helpful, if they're going down a dirt road at night where they're kind of going maybe 40 miles an hour or something like that, and they want to be able to see far enough down in case a deer or a bear or something like that steps out in front of them. They'll have a little more time to deal with it. All the lighting on this van is tied into our Switch Pro system. That's mounted right above the rearview mirror. It's just a super tidy setup with a mount that's made by Agile Off-Road. It's fantastic. So we can control all these lights, including the lights down the sides and on the rear. I'll show you those lights in a little bit. But really, really nice system. One of the nice things about that system also is we also tie in the electric ball valves for our gray tanks. So, you know, if they are in the backcountry and they feel like emptying their gray tanks while they're driving, they can just reach up and hit a button, and that'll do it. So that's a pretty nice feature. Down here we have the Owl Pismo bumper, which is an awesome bumper. One of the things about this bumper that wouldn't necessarily be obvious, if you were planning on running LP9 Pros on this bumper, in my opinion, the front of this bumper is too narrow and they get kind of crowded here. So we don't recommend this bumper if you are running LP9s. You can put them on there, but I just feel like aesthetically this is like something about it just doesn't feel right. But in this case where we're doing the triple Rs, I think it's perfect. I think it's fantastic. Of course, they have a 10,000 pound Warren winch on here. I'm certain they're going to end up using that just based on a whole bunch of the stories that I've heard from them on their adventures. So I'm certain this thing's going to get stuck in a muddy bog somewhere and they're going to yank themselves out. And that'll probably make for an awesome story. So I'm excited to hear about it. All right, let's head around the side and talk wheels, tires, and suspension. One of the things that's been fun about this build is we've installed a bunch of things that we've never installed before because of their specific use case. So like these pod lights that I mentioned before, it's the first time we've ever put those in. I'm really excited about those. Those are great. Another thing is this set of wheels. So these are the Agile Off-Road. These are their overlanding wheels. This is our first time putting them on, and I have to say they very quickly kind of won me over. I really, really like these wheels. Common choices for wheels, like sort of traditionally, are like your Methods or your Black Rhino Arsenals. The Method is sort of like just a really kind of classy looking car wheel, I feel like. And the Arsenals, you know, they look a little bit like beadlock wheel, but they're different than that. So, and you don't need to know what a beadlock is. That's for another video. But what I like about these is a few things. So number one, like aesthetically, I just think they're really nice. Like they're kind of between that sort of Method type look and the Black Rhino Arsenal look. I feel like they look a bit more aggressive, but they also just look pretty classy at the same time. These wheels come in black, matte gray, and bronze. This is the bronze version, and I have to say I freaking love it. And like I'm kind of like against colored wheels in general for some reason. I'm just like kind of conservative, I guess, that way. I think these are fantastic. They really, really love them. And the other reasons that I really have grown to love these wheels are based on functionality. So the first thing is they have a very high load rating. So they're rated for 4,200 pounds. The only other wheel that has a similar load rating are the Owl Talon wheels, which also have about a 4,200 pound load rating. And just to give you a sense of that, like the Methods and Arsenals that I mentioned earlier are like around 3,000 pounds. So this is quite a lot beefier, a lot stronger. That's good because these wheels are going to take a beating, and we want them to take a beating. That means that this van's getting out there and doing fun things. So they're super strong, so that's really good. And then the other thing that I really like about it is it has dual valve stems. So what that means is that you have your regular Schrader valve stem, but then you can also have these Apex valves installed. And the Apex valve is specifically a high flow valve. It's not really for, you know, your typical like, you know, inflating, although you can use it that way. Its main function is to do a rapid deflate of the tires. So if you're taking this somewhere where it's muddy, you want to air down the tires because you're going in the mud or in the sand, any kind of low traction situation where you want to increase your contact patch, you're going to want to air down. Airing down is a kind of laborious process. Normally it takes 10 minutes or 15 minutes or something like that, and it's annoying. You pull off to the side of the road, you do it, it takes a little while. These, the Apex valve, you unscrew the cap and then you just pop the collar back, and you can air down this whole tire down to, you know, 10 PSI or whatever you're trying to get to in like 10 seconds. It's incredibly fast, and that's a really, really nice feature. So literally in 1 minute, you could pop out of the car, air down all 4 tires, get back in, and keep going. And then we also upgraded the suspension here. So we put a Van Compass Stage 3 kit on here. So it is not the Van Compass kit that includes a lift. This is just the regular ride height, but we've improved the suspension front and rear. We've boosted the spring pack in the rear as well. And just overall, you know, pretty significant improvement to the ride quality. So that's really important as well. Coming down behind me here, we've got the Owl side steps here. These are on both sides. This is the trail version. The difference between the full size version and the trail version just has to do with whether the driver's side has a full set of steps or whether the steps end and then there's just a tube that goes the rest of the way. These are incredibly strong. I've been very happy with these. They are, you know, basically our favorite choices right now for side steps and running boards are either these as a fixed step or the power step as a step that pops out when you get in and out of the van. The power step, in my opinion, is probably not the best for people who have dogs. I was thinking about this recently, and that step comes down, there's a big gap. Dogs aren't gonna wanna really have anything to do with that, especially since they know the step goes in and out. I feel like this step here is much more likely to be used by dogs that are getting in and out because it's just fixed, it's a known thing, they can trust it. So I think this probably is a better choice when you have dogs. One thing I will say about this, and that I kind of noticed when I had the van out yesterday, is that the brackets for this side step are, you know, incredibly beefy, but they hang down quite a bit. They hang down about 3 inches, and they become the lowest point in the middle of the van. And so I could see scenarios where you suddenly, you know, like maybe you're going over some big kind of whoop-de-doos, or maybe you're on a trail that's sort of complicated in another way. I think these will become those brackets will become the first thing that makes contact with the ground. They are incredibly beefy, so on the one side it's like at least something really strong is making contact. On the other side, it's going to be making contact, a few inches before the body would make contact. Of course, you don't really want your body making contact because you're going to crimp it in, and then you're going to have body damage. It's just something to consider. I don't think it's a big deal, but it's something that I hadn't noticed until yesterday. So that's why I really like being able to take these vans out in the field and test them and just kind of get some real world experience with them as well. So up top, we've got some scene lights up here. So on both sides of the van, on the passenger side and also on the driver's side, we've got them as well. And we've got the Fiamma awning up there above. See our Lawrence window here, this side here, awnings out. It's a nice window. Obviously it's got a sweet OEM look to it. And then back here, we've got our other Arctic Turn window. This is our bunk window. Big fans of these windows. They're great. They're insulated. They're great. So another product that has quickly become a favorite of mine for sprinters are these side storage units made by Agency 6. The Sprinter has this like body cavity that exists basically in this tail section of the body where there's about 4 or 5 inches of depth in there that really doesn't do anything. And what we do here is we basically cut the body open here, we install what you can see here, and basically we create 2 storage units out of that cavity that exists in the van body itself. I apologize that I actually don't have the keys to this right now. It's the weekend, no one's here. I'll do a whole nother tour on these at a later date in more depth. We took a trip out to California this past fall and actually saw these installed in a whole bunch of vans out there. And I have to say I was a little surprised on some of the installations. It's important that this be done correctly. And I guess when I do a whole nother video on these, I'll talk about it in more detail. But for us, basically we installed these before we bedline them. Then we mask out the whole thing and we bedline all the way around it. So basically the bedline retainer also helps seal around this. One of my concerns about these side storage, if they're not done correctly, is that you can get water seepage in behind here, and now you have these cut edges of the body, and this could become a spot where rust starts. So obviously you want to make sure that doesn't happen. In our case, with this storage unit, she also has an air compressor on board for airing her tires back up, because obviously if you're going to air down, you better have a plan to air back up again. And what we do in this case is then we actually put all of those air connections and everything and the hoses, they all just live right here. So it's like super tidy, it's kind of perfect. She doesn't have an auxiliary water tank in the spare tire compartment. That's something that we often do. If we do that, our preference is to then put all the hose connections for that in the storage unit that's on the other side. So it's really tidy, it's kind of perfect. Let's talk about this bumper. Okay, so this is another first for us, actually, was installing this backwoods bumper on the back of the Sprinter here. And I have to say, I really like it. It kind of falls in the sort of, nice to have kind of category, but it's actually pretty nice to have. And so one of the main things I like about this is that you get this really, really nice, solid, positive step here. So the bumper that's, you know, comes standard with the Mercedes is very slim, and it's hard to get good purchase on it with your feet if you're trying to, you know, reach up into the bed up there, or for whatever reason you need to stand on the bumper. There's just not really a good surface there. It always feels a little sketchy. And I don't particularly love that. It has been really nice with this to have this big solid step here. It's just, you know, you're never going to slip off of it. It's pretty nice, I have to say. Another nice thing about it is these reverse lights here. And so we don't have these wired up to the actual reverse lights because they're so bright. If you put it in reverse, you're just going to blind everyone in the parking lot. So we have those on a separate switch. So you can turn those on whenever you want. But because they are so bright, they're low to the ground, and they're also pointed off axis a little bit, it's really going to give you much more awareness about what's behind you as you're backing up, and specifically what's behind you and like off to the side a little bit, because, you know, it's very easy to miss maybe a tree or something that's you know, right over here, and you don't realize it, and suddenly you end up scraping into it or having some other kind of mishap. So those lights I think are a super nice feature. Of course, also the bumper comes with everything we need to do to make it so that your backup assist and all of your sensors basically get relocated into this bumper really nicely. So everything still works as it should. It's pretty nice to have, but it is you know, rather expensive. Like most of these welded products that get bolted onto the outside of vans, you know, you're looking a few $1,000s for one of these. Our clients specifically chose not to go with any storage boxes or any of that stuff on the back here. They kept their spare tire underneath, mainly because they wanted to keep the back doors light, and they were very sensitive to the fact that when you put all that stuff on the back doors of your Sprinter, it gets really heavy. You know, you imagine one of those big expedition boxes, it's filled with firewood and all kinds of other stuff. You know, you've added, I don't know, let's say 100 pounds to, you know, that door. Every time you open it, it's going to be heavy. If the wind catches it, it's, you know, it's going to be that weight pushing on you. So anyway, I totally understand. I think it's a good idea if you don't feel like you need that's the utility of that storage to keep the doors clean like this, because you are opening these doors and closing them all the time. It is annoying when you have all that extra weight on the door. So there is something really nice about just being able to just pop these doors open real easy. We also put in these windows up here. So these are van windows, direct windows. Each of them, they awning out. They have a bug screen built into them, and you know, and they're great. What's nice about these is because they awning out, you can have them open in the rain, just like you can with the Arctic Turn windows on the side of the bunk there. And then also the way it's set up in here from the bed there, you can easily reach back and operate these. What's nice about that is, you know, in bed, you can open up your bunk windows, you can open up these, you get really a lot of ventilation pretty easily, and that's pretty awesome. All right, let's head back around the side and check out the home. So I feel like van life kind of gives a whole second meaning to the term curb appeal. In this case, with the slider door open, I feel like from the curb or from, you know, outside the van, looking in, just being able to just look at the inside of the home and just get a sense of the vibe and how, you know, what the feeling is that you get from it. And to me, look at the inside of this, it's just very warm, it's very inviting, and I just love it. I just love this, you know, view looking in on the van. Makes you want to go in there. Over here on the kitchen, so they have their full-size kitchen on the Hudson, and what that means is that the kitchen extends all the way out to here. When we do, sometimes we'll do what we call our 2/3 kitchen. If we do a 2/3 kitchen, it ends right about here, so basically doesn't really extend into the slider. What's really nice about having the full-size kitchen on the Hudson is we get to do this whole outside, call our kitchen stack, on the outside here. And that's comprised of a couple different things. So we have our fold down table here. So this is an acrylic wood composite that we make here. One of the things that we spend a lot of time on with this is concealing all of the hardware. So there's no hardware here that's visible. There's no hardware here that's visible. Even the stainless steel hinges that we have at the back here, all of that hardware is actually concealed inside the composite table. So this strap as well, like you can't see anything on the other side. You don't want to see you know, exposed screws and exposed hardware in your kitchen at home if you don't have to. And so we try very hard to do the same here. This right across the top here is actually has two functions. So number one, it's got a whole bunch of magnets in here, so you can stick any cutlery or any knives or anything like that up against there. So it's sort of a magnet block for knives and cutlery, which is nice, by the way. You know, if you are prepping food or doing anything outside, you know, you have a limited amount of square footage here. It's nice to be able to take some of the things that you're not using and have a place for them. So that's why I designed this like this. It serves a second function as well, which is that all of the magnets that are in here line up with magnets that are embedded inside the composite table, and they meet up. And so that's actually what keeps the table closed when it's in its closed position. Over here we have a cutting board, which again is just nice. You can use it as a cutting board. You could use it as like a little charcuterie board or something like that. You know, it's just a nice thing to have there. It also is held in with magnets, so that's always nice. And then right here, this is a 3D printed light that I designed. I tried to find an off-the-shelf light that I could mount here. I couldn't find anything that would really kind of meet all the needs that I had, and so I ended up designing something myself. And those needs were specifically, I wanted something that was bright on the table here so that it would shine straight down on the table, give you some good task lighting, because for me, I would much prefer spending my time prepping and cooking food outside than inside. So I wanted some good task lighting here. And so as a result, so this light is way up inside there and it's shining straight down on the table. But the way this shroud is kind of built around the light, you know, you can't actually see the bulb from anywhere unless your eye was like right down here looking up. And so everywhere else around here, you're just getting the indirect light that's bouncing off of the rest of the housing. And so it's been really wonderful. It's done everything that I wanted it to do, which was to create a directional light for here, but then an indirect light for around here that would kind of make it more pleasant for people who are hanging around. They don't want a bright light shining in their face. So this whole thing has been really wonderful. We have another little storage cubby down here. We have a 110 volt outlet right here. We've got a dimmer for that light that I was just talking about. And then we also have USB charging, so you can charge your devices when you're outside the van. You can just plug them in real quick. So that's super convenient. Let's go inside. So welcome inside the Hudson. I absolutely love it in here. I've talked many times before how much I love Walnut, and obviously they've chosen Walnut as their accent color. They've even gone so far as to do the walnut surround on the shower, which I absolutely love. This whole interior, I just love it, and I'm super excited for our clients to be picking this up. I think next week is probably when that's happening. And yeah, I'm excited for them. And they're really, really wonderful. They've been really fun, and yeah, I really like them. They made a really generous offer to me, actually, when I said I was getting ready to shoot this video, and I was trying to time it and everything. And they actually offered for me to come up and shoot the video up at the preserve where they do a lot of this bird hunting, and sort of said, I could come up and we go bird hunting together and do the whole thing. And like, that's such a nice offer, and I really appreciate it. And it just, timing wise, wasn't really in the cards, but it's something that actually I very, very much want to do, not just with these particular clients, but with some of our other clients as well, because I feel like, and you could tell me, and I'd be very curious to get your feedback on this, 30-year-olds are just way overrepresented in the space. If you Google van life, all you're going to do is get just a ton of posts about 30-year-olds, out there doing their thing, and that's awesome, good for them. But in my experience, at least here, the people that we build vans for, that's not the cohort that we're typically dealing with. And typically for us, we're looking at it's people who are either empty nesters and above. All the way up to, we've built vans for people who are in their late 80s, and God bless them, like, get after it. That's amazing. There aren't very many examples of people traveling in vans in that sort of age range. And in my experience, like, people do all kinds of different things with their vans, and it's pretty much fantastic. And so this couple that's getting this van, like, I'm super excited to see what they do with it. We have lots of other clients who are doing other, totally different and totally awesome things with their vans. And I feel like there's not enough of that out on the internet. And I feel like also it's, sometimes if you're doing something for the first time, or you're trying to prepare to do something for the first time, it's really helpful to see somebody else who's done it, or get a sense of it. So I feel like there might be a lot of value that I could provide to this space in general by telling some of those stories. So let me know what you think. It's not something I'm going to be able to do very soon, because it's going to require a lot more of my time, and I'm quite busy here. But but it's something I'm trying to aim towards for 9 months or a year from now, just to start producing content like that it tells a bit more of the story of some of our clients and some of the variety of ways that people use these things. So let me know if you think that's interesting. I'm almost certainly going to take them up on their offer to go hunting and stuff with them, because I've never done anything like that, and that sounds like a blast. So I'm going to walk through some of the features here of the dinette area and kind of give you a sense of it. So our driver's seat and our passenger seat are swiveled around here, and they're facing this way. And obviously I'm sitting here in this seat. So we can do a couple of different seats here. In this case, we went with this belted seat that we often install that also flips into a bed. I've shown that in a bunch of our other tours. I'm not going to do it today because I'm kind of short on time. But basically the bottom flips down, the back folds down, and this whole thing turns into a bed. So you can put your feet on the front seat. It's about 6 feet long. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world. It's more comfortable than sleeping on the floor. Nowhere near as comfortable as the king-size bed that we got in the back there. But it's functional. If you have a guest, it works out pretty nicely. This is a belted seat, so being able to sit here while traveling down the road seems pretty nice. We often put a TV on the wall behind me here. We have a lot of clients who, actually more typically, we install a monitor, not a TV. It can kind of go either way. We have a lot of clients who, do some consulting work, so they want to be able to sit in the driver's seat here, have a second monitor, which I totally understand. I have to say, with this walnut surround on the shower here, I'm so happy there isn't a TV there. Like aesthetically, yeah, I think it's just so much nicer. But I understand the functional need that some people have. Above me here, we've got two overheads. Of course, anytime we have, the opportunity to do it, we grain match all of our wood. So, the grain pattern just flows naturally through from one door into the other. Inside here, we have the first one. We have a bunch of just open storage space. We also have USB charging in there, so you can charge a handful of devices. It's nice to have a place where you can plug in your stuff, close it, and not have to see or think about that stuff. In the left-hand one, we have a microwave. The microwave is, honestly, it's a really nice thing to have on board. It's something that I personally wouldn't use that often, but I would be happy to be able to use it. Because of the nature of a microwave, you only use it for like 90 seconds or 2 minutes, and the rest of the time you don't want to see it. So we put it behind a door here, so you don't have to look at it. And so under me here is our walnut butcher's block dinette table. I absolutely love this. Of course, this is the same material that our kitchen countertop is made up over here, so they tie together perfectly. Of course, over here we have our other architecture window. So this is our big dinette window. It has a bug screen below, and then we have blackout shade above. That's totally great. This awnings out has a whole bunch of stops. So this is super nice. You can have it open in the rain. Rain will just sort of shed off of it. My favorite time to have the windows open in a van is in the summer when it's kind of hot and steamy and raining out. It's just really nice to get airflow during that time. Also, by the way, being in a van when it's raining is just awesome. Like, I just love it. It's sort of being out, like, you just hear all the sounds all around you. It's like you're out in a downpour, except you're not getting wet, and I love that. Same way that I love being out on like a screened-in porch when it's like downpouring. I just love that. So I don't know if anybody else is like that. Of course, we got a light here that's on dimmer. All the lights in the van are on a dimmer. We always put all the lights on a dimmer. There is a drawer right below me that pulls out quite a ways. So that's nice. And yeah, let's do the kitchen. As I mentioned earlier, they decided to go with our full-size kitchen in the Hudson, which really is a pretty luxurious choice, because you just end up with so much more space, a lot more counter space. So this counter comes all the way down to here. We have a leaf here that you can't really see in the shop, but you can see some of it. When that leaf is up, it is 70 inches long. So it is just shy of 6 feet. It is a huge amount of real estate. Really, really nice. I wish I had this much space in my van. It's just nice to be able to spread out, especially if you're, depending on what you're making or what you're doing. Even if you're not cooking, it's just nice having space to put things down, organize your stuff. I'm constantly, in my van, if I'm shooting videos or whatever, I just need space to put my stuff down, organize things. I end up using my bed a lot for that. That's fine. But anyway, super nice having all that extra space. They decided to go with all black accents in here, which I think is really sharp. We also wrap our pillars here we upholster them. And that's something we started doing about a year ago. And it's, it's really kind of elevated the whole build quite a bit. Just that one thing, because it finishes it out really nicely. It just looks really nice. You know, you can't see it in this shot here, but it's, you know, this whole pillar looks great. We do the same thing on the rear pillar in the back there around the bed area as well. So it just finishes out the van really nicely. So of course they got a CRX-80 fridge here, which is awesome. They also chose to go with a black fridge just to go with all the other black accents, which I think is smart. One of the nice things about the Hudson, the full-size kitchen in the Hudson, is you get this giant bank of drawers here, which is just awesome. So lots of drawers. We got 6 drawers total. And one of the drawers is this special step drawer, which you pull it out. It's rated for many hundreds of pounds. You can step on that and use it as a step to get up into bed, which is great. Of course, behind me here, also, I've got a sliding pocket door. That pocket door is going to be great for their dogs. Their dogs are going to be, you know, sleeping in the garage area. That's going to be their kind of den. These pocket doors are going to make it easier for them to get in and out. So that's really good as well. And then on this side, of course, we have our classic shower bathroom setup. So as always, we've got a stainless steel shower pan on the floor that we fabricate. We've got a teak mat on top of that, which is just really nice. They chose to go with a Laveo toilet. I've done endless videos on toilets. If you have any questions about toilets, just go back through our channel. Of course, our whole shower is wrapped in white acrylic that's been bent to conform to the shape of the van, and I just love it. And then another nice feature of the acrylic is that because it has a very smooth glass-like appearance to it, it also accepts suction cups really well. So you could suction cup any accessories you can find anywhere on the internet. They'll stick in here just fine. So you want to put your soap dispensers, whatever. You want to hang clothes in here. It's very easy to set it up in here, put a hanging rod in here if you want to put like wet spot for wet clothes or anything like that. So it makes it also like much more adaptable as well. The door is this Nautilus door, which works really, really well. It's one of those few products that just like, it's simple, it works, and reliable, and we just really like it. So that's really good. And head to the back. All right, so now we've got to the thing that might be my favorite feature of the Hudson, which is this giant king-size bed. It's just pretty luxurious to be able to have this much bed in a van. I call it a king-size bed. Of course, it's not actually a true king-size bed in the, you know, what you would have at home. This is an RV short king. I think it's 72 in this direction and like 74 in that direction. Down this side and down that side, we've got these overheads. So in the past, in the Hudson, we don't typically put overheads on the passenger side, but we can. One of the reasons for that is just trying to like not crowd this whole thing in so much, so that, you know, when you're sleeping here, you don't feel like you have the stuff that's like hovering over you. So try and keep it a little more space. So that's why, I don't know if you can tell here, but these overheads are smaller than these overheads. And it was done intentionally to make them higher and sort of diminish their depth as well, so that, you know, you can sit up more easily in bed, not have to worry about, you know, bonking your heads on these things. So this overhead as well, they asked us to extend it all the way down over the kitchen here. So it comes all the way down over the kitchen. So this first bay is over the kitchen, which is really nice for, you know, being able to store things in there, you know, cups, mugs, things like that. The other thing, because this side is diminished, it means that if you were here at the kitchen, this actually isn't in your way. Whereas if you had a full-size overhead like one of these, it's going to be blocking your vision. It's going to be irritating, to say the least. This is the first time we've done this exact overhead in a Hudson. I think this is probably, for people who want an overhead on the passenger side in the Hudson, I think this is probably what we're going to be recommending, because it seems to be the perfect compromise, offering a lot of functionality, but also not, you know, having those other downsides. So anyway, so bunch of overhead storage over here, bunch of overhead storage over here. Of course, you know, all of this is grain matched through, which is really nice. And these are really big on this side, so you can get tons of clothes in here. Of course, going down the sides here, we've got these 2 bunk windows. You saw them on the outside. This is the exact same company that makes the dinette window that we have up there. So it has the same blackout and bug shades here. Awnings out in the same way that that one does, so you can have these open in the rain, which, as I've mentioned countless times, seems pretty delightful. I forgot to mention, actually, this van has Sonos throughout. So we've got 2 Sonos rooms mounted in the back corners here. And then we've got 2 Sonos rooms mounted up in the front in the driving area up there. So we got 4 speakers in all. We custom made the mounts for them. So there's custom mounts up front, and then these are custom mounts that we make in the back here. These custom mounts that we make in the back are a little extra special because we actually took the wireless charging base that you can get for these Sonos, which is like a little triangular shaped base, and we incorporated that into the mounts that we made over here. So these, when they're in their mounts, they're actually charging off of that wireless charging base. If you ever wanted to take one of these and take it with you, out to the picnic table, or you wanted to take it on a hike or something, you literally could just pop one of these out, take it with you, no problem, and they'll be fully charged all the time. So that's nice. Also on the sides over here, we've got 2 reading lights, and then we've also got USB charging on either side. So very easy to charge your devices and all that kind of stuff. We got our 9500 BTU AC unit. This thing blasts a ton of cold. It's awesome. Above me here, we have the MaxxAir Fan. It's nice in the Hudson because it's located right next to the shower. It's also located right next to the kitchen. So any moisture that you're going to be expelling from either of these places when you're doing those activities, you're going to be able to get it, out of the van sooner. So that's always nice. But otherwise, the thing that I love about this the most is just this giant bed. I want one very, very badly, but not yet, but soon, I promise. All right, let's check out the garage below. All right, here we are back at the garage, which for me is one of my favorite parts of the build because it's the place where I start thinking about all the stuff I'm going to bring with me when I go out in the world, trying to get some adventure and just have a good time. I'm planning on building one of these vans for myself, hopefully sometime in the next year. And I've already started to think about how I'm going to jam all of the stuff that I want to bring with me into this garage. I've spent way more time thinking about that than I've been thinking about what I want to do to the interior. There are a lot of people like that, where it's like, this is really the essential part of the whole thing that really makes those adventures possible. Before we talk about the garage, I want to talk about these inside of these doors and then a couple of things with the doors. So here are the inside of those windows I was talking about, that awning out. These are the little handles for them. You just pop them out. They're great. Of course, on the inside of the door here, we also put these molly panels. They are great. They're just nice, simple design where you can just, mount stuff to here real easy. You can move things around. Just very functional, super nice. One of the things that I think people don't think enough about when they are thinking about putting stuff on the rear doors of their vans is the impact that it's going to have on just your access in the back. So, if you have the expedition boxes over here and you've got your tire carry over here, we actually have to change out these hinges from the factory hinges to different hinges that are restricted, specifically so that this door can't swing all the way around and your tire can't smash into the side of your van, or your expedition box doesn't smash into the side of that van. So we actually change out these hinges with different hinges, and that limits the range of motion. And that eliminates the possibility of being able to do this, which is so nice. It's just really nice just to be able to make your door go away completely. I've talked about the bed slide before in other videos. This bed slide it's just great because literally your entire garage can come out. So I'll just show you that. Super awesome. Got your whole garage out here. But this door, if we had expedition boxes on the back of it, its maximum range of travel would be about here. Not the end of the world, but it's also it's a little bit crowding. And it is much, much nicer just to be able to fold that all the way around and get at my stuff. I'm just unencumbered. It is a lot nicer. So those rear door storage solutions are great, and they look cool and they're very functional. But there are definite pros and cons to it. Most people aren't really necessarily aware of that particular thing and some other factors with it. The bed slide is an awesome upgrade for the Hudson. I kind of recommend it to everyone, with a few exceptions. But what's nice about it is, the garage is 80 inches deep, which is a lot, right? And if this was a normal garage and you didn't have this bed slide and you had to pull a whole bunch of stuff out here to get the stuff in the back, even then you're gonna have to crawl back in there to get it. It's just gonna be kind of annoying. The only circumstance where this doesn't make a lot of sense is if you are height restricted. So if you have a mountain bike that, your fork to the top of the handlebar is less than whatever this distance is, and I'm guessing this distance is probably 32 inches, 31 inches. This is eating up vertical height. And so it might be that vertical height, it turns out to be a problem if you're, for something else. Otherwise, I think the bed slide is just a game changer. It's so nice. And it's great. And this thing's rated for, I don't even know, I think it's like 600 pounds, 600 or 800 pounds. So you can really load it up. I've stood on the end of this thing and jumped on it like a diving board. It holds up great. So that side over there, we've got our electrical cabinet. So we've got our 3000 watt Victron inverter in there. It's all the rest of the components are Victron. Our utility specialist is just absolutely fantastic. He's meticulous. He labels everything, and it's just, you're not gonna have to worry about anything in there ever. And even if there was some issue and a service issue that maybe wasn't handled by us, but was handled by somebody else out in the world, it's going to be very, very clear what's going on there. So I think they have 960 amp hours on board. So that is a huge amount of battery power. It's going to mean that they're going to be able to run their air conditioner off-grid, no problem, for a long time. They're really, really well set up. That battery bank is going to be charging off their solar. It's going to be charging off of the shore plug if they decide to plug in somewhere, and it's going to be charging off of the dedicated second alternator that we installed that charges at an insane like 250-ish amps. The fact is, with that second alternator installed, like, they're never going to have to plug in. In general, huge fan of the alternator. It does add a fair amount of cost, but it's pretty fantastic. On this side, we've got the plumbing cabinet. This has, I believe, a 46-gallon freshwater tank. All the plumbing connections and everything are right in there. Nice thing about the way we do our plumbing setup is for winterizing, basically we have a series of ball valves that are all at all the lowest points in the system. There's literally one switch that you flip, all those ball valves are going to open up and everything's going to drain out by gravity. So it's really nice. You never have to use that like horrible RV antifreeze stuff that people use and other things. So real nice and simple. We also have an outdoor shower on the back here with a shower mixer. So you can take a hot shower off the back of your van. You can also use this for washing yourself down. In their case, like maybe washing down some muddy dogs. Let's head around the front and wrap this up. So I just want to say thanks for hanging out and watching this whole video. I hope it was interesting, maybe entertaining in some way. But ultimately, my goal of these videos is that they are informative and they help you get a better sense of, trying to imagine what, van life might mean to you, maybe help you make some choices, make some decisions. Let me know, by the way, what you think about what I mentioned earlier about trying to do some content that is focused a bit on, on the clients, on the people side of the vans. I personally think it'd be very interesting. But I'd love to get any feedback. And also any questions you have, anything that I mentioned in here you want to follow up with. I don't get to respond to all the comments, but we definitely do read them all. And yeah, please put anything in there. So anyway, appreciate it again. I really wish you the best. And as always, peace.